It's been too long, friends. It's been months.
We haven't seen each other in forever.
It's true.
We just haven't.
We're gonna share our phones.
We're gonna do the thing.
Just a second. We're gonna share this, which hasn't happened yet. Oh,
Jessica! Look, it's Jessica. Hi, Jessica.
Okay, I think I can share this.
This is great.
Shh. Every time you guys see our foreheads.
Look, you joined our chat.
Oh, you can see.
I can see.
Except I can't share the chat.
It's okay.
This is so frustrating. There it is.
There it is.
That's not it.
No, that is it.
Yeah, but I have to.
You can hit.
You know what we need?
Share. You can hit share.
Do you know what we need?
What do we need? More people.
Assistant.
We need more people. We do need an assistant. Next time we're gonna get an
applications.
Assistant. Yes. Next time we're gonna get an assistant, and they will help us. They will sit and hold our phones, and it'll be awesome. This is so funny. I love doing this with you. Okay, share.
So 2 months and a half. End of January.
January already.
Did a thing. We brought this show on the road.
We did.
10 miles down the street.
I thought it was delightful.
We decided to facilitate a conversation like this with a group of 30 women in Newburgh. It was open to anyone. We knew most people.
We did. You know what? I didn't know half of anybody.
Oh.
I knew like a handful of people.
Okay.
How many people did you know?
Most.
Most?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was also in Newburgh, proximity.
Right.
But I would definitely say that there was diversity in the room as far as political beliefs, faith beliefs, age. There was some really great representation. I was really excited about that. Yeah. Because while we were planning it, we're like, you need to bring more liberals and you need to bring more conservatives. So we did the thing. How do you think it went? Oh, you're typing.
I'm saying hi to Crystal.
Hi, Crystal. How do you think January went?
I thought January was amazing. I really loved that I thought there were lots of differences in the room. Mm-hmm. I thought we had a really good, really conservative women and really liberal women, and then a lot of in between. Mm-hmm. And I thought it was fun. I think we should do it again on a larger stage with lots more people. Like, I think we should go big time.
So we really need an assistant.
We really will need an assistant.
Taking application. Can I tell you my favorite part of the whole night?
Tell me your favorite part of the whole night.
So what we did is we had a conversation. I can't remember what it was on now. We had a conversation like these, and then we had some questions for the room. So they talked within table groups. We had a whole group discussion with all 30 of us. Mm-hmm. And we created some community agreements ahead of time to make sure it stayed respectful.
Well, Jillian's like, yes, you should. Jillian's all over it.
I love you, Jillian. And it was so good. Everyone was all in with heart and mind. Like, there was no
it was so good.
30 women who they don't know each other and know they're talking about hard things. And it was good.
It was so good.
Guys,
it was super delightful.
So my favorite moment of the night was when we asked every woman to write down a list of both ands. For example, I'm pro-life and feminist. And you had your ands. And
I don't even remember what they were.
Yeah, I know. We had multiples. Mm-hmm. And then we asked women to make a list of theirs and then stand up and share one with no validation, no explanation. Just stand up and share your truth without the need to justify it. Mm-hmm. We're just nuanced.
We're so good.
We can be two things. And to see people's hearts, like, you could tell, like, some people, this was really a big deal. And they stood up and they said their truth and they sat down.
It was
and
delightful.
Nothing bad happened.
No, the earth did not explode. The conservatives did not start beating up the liberals. The liberals did not start beating up the conservatives. It was delightful.
We left feeling heard.
It was great.
And honored that we are so complex people with complex belief systems. It was so good. And here's how I know we're not just drinking our own Kool-Aid. Afterwards, these were the two comments we heard. Can we make this longer than an hour and a half?
Yes.
And
people wanted more than an hour and a half.
When can we do this again?
I know, it was so
When
good.
Can we do this again? Can it be longer so we're not rushed?
Yeah. Yes. It was so good. Hi, Julia. Hi, Melanie.
So be looking for...
It was amazing.
We haven't talked about this, but round 2.
Yeah, I think we're going to do round 2 for sure.
Yeah,
we'll just put it together and make it happen again.
I think so.
Although I think we need a bigger stage. I think we need more people.
Mm-hmm. That's up to you guys.
Yeah, I think we need a bigger stage and more people. I think we need to, seriously take the show on the road. I think it's good.
Well, I'm all in on that.
I know.
Can we take it to, Bermuda.
Sure, I think we should go like somewhere warm.
A lot has happened in the last couple of months personally, in our friendship, in the world around us.
So I started getting snarky and posting really angry shit. And Amy sent me a message and said that she was unfollowing me on Facebook. Okay. She didn't say she was unfriending me. She said, I just need you to know that you are getting a little sassy. And I don't think it vibes with what we're trying to do.
And you know what I really appreciated about you? You listen.
I do.
And the bad part of this is the timing was really bad when I sent you that. You just got off an airplane from a long trip and you got bombarded with criticism from a different post you made.
Yeah.
And so she was like, everyone hates me, and now Amy's unfriending. I'm not unfriending.
No, I didn't say you were unfriending. I said you were unfollowing. Hi, Amanda.
Do you remember, after that happened, you sent me a message, a video. We do a lot of video back and forth.
Video message each other all the time.
Yeah, in the car. That's not safe. Do you remember what you told me?
No.
You said, Amy, I've been thinking about what you said, and I really, really want to honor you because I love you. But I really think it's important that we make each other uncomfortable. And I'm having a hard time with what I'm posting making you uncomfortable and still wanting to honor you. And I said, it's not a discomfort issue to me. I like being uncomfortable, mostly. I mean, don't quote me on that. God, don't quote me on that. But I think discomfort is necessary. This is why we do this. It's messy to grow, to learn, to be better. It wasn't that the posts were making me uncomfortable. It's that I didn't know what to do with us trying to lead civil conversations around hard things while you're posting anger.
Yeah.
Like, Roe versus Wade is being overturned this week. Like, that is so fear-mongering. It's so...
Well, but...
and then the article was so...
It was ugly. It's still ugly, by the way.
What's ugly? The issues.
The issues.
Yeah, okay. And I agree.
It's super ugly. A lot of women are going to be hurt by what's happening. I think it's very sad. But to the point, hey, Leanne.
Well, and it might be
Leanne, I have your cookies.
I will have your cookies and deliver it to you because I'm closer to you than she is. I might eat them.
They're so good.
I think it's really important to share that part of our friendship because as everyone gets in closer proximity, hopefully to people who are different from them,
yes,
there are going to be weeks where you come at an impasse. I love you and I'm unfollowing you and I love you.
Yeah, so we actually, it was really great because I had this moment where I was going to be super pissy about it.
You were.
Like, I can't believe Amy's like not listening to me and blah, 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 like I was going to go there. And then I was like, no, that makes some sense. Like I can see how that would be somewhat offensive to Amy and Amy would not want to see that. And so, but it also made me think about what I post and how I post and how I talk about it. And I don't want to police myself and my voice. And I do love anger. I think it's,
I know.
Yes, Melanie, they're in Georgia too. That 6-week ban is dangerous. Oh, Leanne says, yeah, you can hold on to our cookies. Hey, Jean. So I think I think especially from my perspective, when it comes to what's happening policy-wise, I don't think we understand the full impact of what these states are doing. And it actually has gotten much worse since you quit following me on Facebook, especially in reference to women's bodies.
So your posts are getting more angry? Is that
No. What's happening policy-wise is policymakers are starting to call women host bodies, that women are not having babies. We are a host body. They're using that kind of language. Which I think is very dangerous because I know you do not feel. Yeah, you don't feel like you've been possessed by an alien.
Yeah,
I mean, like diminishing who we are as human beings.
Yeah,
is dangerous in the name of righteousness or policy or any of those things is super dangerous, and I think it leads to really disastrous ramifications that we're not going to understand right away. And I think that's where my righteous fury comes from. Sarah and Beth from Pantsuit Politics, Sarah's always talking about her righteous fury and how angry she is. And so I think that, but what I love about it was that neither of us got mad at each other. We both honored each other's spaces. And so for me, it's trying to figure out how much am I falling into the rhetoric? And how much am I speaking from a space of this is what you need to understand is happening so you can be clear and make a decision on the issue.
Yeah. I was thinking about this anger thing. We've talked about it a bunch of times. if I
I'm
feel
angry,
like,
for the record.
yeah,
I get really angry.
And it like in the feminist movement, being around you made me realize I should be more angry. Okay, so I do think it's healthy and good.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking this morning, when we're trying to influence or be a thought leader or a voice on issues, it's either one, we want to rally our community, our tribe, our people, or we want to influence people who don't think like us to see a different way.
Yeah.
Anger never works that direction.
No.
It works to rally my people. Let's get angry. It doesn't work when you're trying to influence people.
Right, and when you're trying to have a dialogue. Jean says, I think anger is a powerful tool. It can push you to your knees and force you to push forward as long as you don't internalize it or transfer it to others. That's exactly what you're saying. Yeah, I really like that.
Yeah.
It's really good.
So, anger. We've danced around this anger thing.
I haven't danced around the anger thing.
I would like you to tango with me around the anger thing.
Okay, I will tango with you around the anger thing.
I read a book based on one of these comments people made.
Yeah, Stacy's giving a shout out whether she's watching or not.
I took the title page off. That's really climactic. It's called The Coddling of the American Mind.
Mind blowing, apparently. We should all read it.
Guys, for everyone, everywhere.
Yeah.
It's so, so good. But one of the things that he talked about, the two authors talked about, is, and I wish I would have bookmarked it, but he talked about the difference between having influence and moving forward and having a vision with a common enemy or a common value. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of what's happening in politics right now is that we're deciding to go the common enemy route, and it's effective. It's effective in unifying people, but it doesn't actually produce valuable outcomes versus common values. Mm-hmm. That we're not making this an us versus them and an enemy thing, but we are advocating for things that we think are really important. And I think we are way off focus on how we're trying to unify.
I think people. We are too. I think it's and I'm seeing it a lot with there's this huge, look, there's Stacy. Yay! Stacy, we just brought up the coddling of the American mind. I hope you saw that. I hope you saw that we talked about you. You got a shout out. We're seeing this especially with there is division and sort of this tribalism mm-hmm. that's happening within the parties as well. Mm-hmm. I have been getting in a lot of debates about the future of the Democratic Party and Democratic Socialists. And mm-hmm. I have been encouraging all the Bernie people to break off and go have their own party. And because we need more than two parties. Mm-hmm. That's part of what's broken with the system. And I've been saying, listen, y'all are raising money. Go raise money and do your own thing and have your own convention and do your stuff and get elected, because they're getting elected. Like, people are getting elected. And that would be great. And I think that but we don't all have to be under one umbrella. Mm-hmm. But we do have to be able to talk to each other. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the difference. Yeah.
The problem, okay, do you think the conservatives have a common enemy? Yeah, they do. Yeah.
Oh, they have a common
enemy. Because I see, I mean, again, I'm moderate really in my beliefs, but I have a bigger community around me that are conservative. And I feel like I know how I feel inflicted by the common enemy coming this direction, but yeah, totally two-way street.
Yeah, I think within the Republican Party, there's a huge rift happening, especially among the moderates and the more polarized conservatives.
Do you know what I say to that? Mm-hmm. Break up the party.
I know. I think it would be
really
so good for the party.
Break up all parties. I'm so sick of our system.
I know. I think we need way more than. Yes, the Democratic Party is a mess right now. Yes, Leanne.
We're all a freaking mess.
The Republican Party is just as messy. I mean, I think it all needs to explode so that we can move forward as a nation.
Can I tell you, not being someone that identifies as part of the Democratic Party, it's interesting to hear you say it's a mess. I don't know if I would pick up on that from my angle. Yeah?
Oh, it's a hot mess. Oh. Scathing mess.
Is it always a hot mess?
No.
Okay, so it's new.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. One of the other things in this book that I thought was really, really good for any of us with children is the idea of safetyism. So they talk about safetyism in this book, and the concept is that we create spaces that are safe. So ultra safe that now we have to have trigger warnings for any content that might be slightly something.
Trigger warnings.
And
our whole entire Facebook Live is a trigger warning.
And it challenges us to this idea that all humans have, that I need to protect myself, and that means keeping out opposing thoughts. And the whole book actually is premised around the generation in universities and students, but it's applicable to all of us. And the idea is that in a course of a couple of years, there were 300 plus on-site campus protests about incoming guest speakers. The students didn't like the speaker, the history with the speaker, beliefs of the speaker. And so they protested. Mm-hmm. They protested by trying to get them uninvited, mm-hmm. or protested so loud during speeches that they had to stop the event. Mm-hmm. And the book is the authors are making the case. If we don't allow opposing thought and diverse thought around us, we become less effective, less sturdy in where we stand. Like we need opposing thoughts to keep sharp, to keep critical thinkers, instead of the echo chambers we've talked about.
So this is interesting because I know some of those campus speeches were opposing like full-on racist rhetoric.
Well, the book would say, what did you think was racist about it? And if it's full-on racist,
well, yeah. I mean, Milo's just a well-known racist. Like, he's just a white supremacist.
I don't even know
racist.
Who that is.
I know one of the protests that they're talking about.
I don't remember. Yeah. I totally get that. But they gave examples of why they uninvited certain speakers. And it was like, because they believe this thing, and it was taken way out of proportion.
Yeah, I think for some people, and I think what's interesting, though, is I feel like universities are the places where you should be able to protest. Like, those are the places where you should be able to speak out against things. I don't believe in disrupting people while they're talking. I think that is highly disrespectful. And I just had this happen in one of my classes. So I'm going to tell you right now, like, I do not appreciate being interrupted while I'm talking. I think it's rude. I think it's damn rude.
Did you put them in the corner with a...
Oh, no, I disciplined them. Like, I was like, I am not going to have disruption in my class while I'm lecturing. It's completely inappropriate. Completely inappropriate to interrupt somebody while they are standing up and talking. So, look, we're getting all the love right now. Like, everyone's like, yeah! I do feel like universities are the space for protest. I think you're right, though. We have to be willing to sit in a room and get uncomfortable and get messy.
And does that mean allow speakers in that you don't agree with?
I think unless they are spouting violence against other people.
Okay, so interesting you say that. They make a case that we are using language like violence to mean I am in physical harm by this person's ideas. Right. And how that is poorly used. Ideas
are one thing, but when people actually say you need to go out and hurt this group of people.
Well,
which is what I know at
that
least,
guy's doing.
Well, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
You cannot promote. No, I understand what you're saying about verbal violence, right? Like,
yeah, we're calling things violent that aren't violent.
That aren't necessarily violent. They're uncomfortable. Yes, and I think we need to be in those places and be uncomfortable.
Okay,
for sure. But when people are saying you need to go out and hurt this group of people,
no,
that is
nonsense.
There is no platform for that.
Kill the mic. Yeah.
No. There's no platform.
No, but there's a generation that's a full generation of students where a majority are leaving leaving college into the world without the ability to hear other voices. In fact, protesting and in fact calling opposing ideas violent and harmful and dangerous to us. And
I know it's why I'm done teaching.
You're done teaching?
Yeah, I'm never going back to academia.
Is because why?
Because students will not hear opposing views. They won't sit in a classroom that's called social justice and policy and listen to a professor who's an expert in the field talk about policy that they don't want to talk about. They have no threshold for it. And you're right. They are leaving college without the ability and the capacity to think critically about anything other than their own siloed views about things. And it is dangerous. And let me just add to this. Hey, Liz.
We're going to get to that,
Amanda. We're getting to that, Amanda. We're going to sex ed. Don't worry. We're getting there. We have a whole list of things to talk about. We're getting there. This idea that students cannot, these smartphones are not making students smarter. Let's be super real about that. They cannot even compose a sentence. It's horrifying. But it's getting worse.
They can make a tweet.
It's getting worse. But the idea of forcing students to think critically, because that's what college is for. I mean, that's the purpose of college, is to help you think outside your zone of comfort. the idea that we are creating spaces where we let them out of college without that capacity is
or even caved
ridiculous.
in story after story of administration caving in and saying, you're right, you should protest, be passionate. Okay. I mean, just caving in. Crazy stories of how people are allowing the safetyism to happen. Yeah. And we are not giving them any other good example. Adults. Right. We can't do that. Right. We get in our echo chambers and we get uncomfortable hearing other thought. In fact, we unfollow. In fact, we only read these blogs. We only watch this news. It's the exact same thing on the adult side. Yeah. Or the older adult side of things. Older adult side. Yeah. They're adults. But, so I highly recommend the book, and I highly recommend
The Coddling of the American Mind.
Yeah, and I recommend opposing the idea of safetyism. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so the other thing that happened, which is totally left field, is we got...
I don't think it's that left field, Mama.
Oh, well, when I got the message, I thought, that's left field. You and I got a message asking us thoughts on our local huge kind of debate. It's debate's such a bad word, but there's...
Oh, no, I think debate is a good word.
Uproar about our sex ed curriculum in our public school district.
So there is a state law in Oregon that says that comprehensive sex education will be taught in all public schools in Oregon. And part of that sex education curriculum includes affirming LGBT youth, and it also affirms consent and some other things that have been very controversial for lots of parents that are more conservative. So it has created this uproar in Newberg, Oregon. So for those of you that are watching outside of Newberg, which I know a lot of you do, Newberg, Oregon is sort of like a little suburb of Portland. I mean, it's its own little town.
Voting history is about 50-50.
It's really amazing. Yeah, the town's made up of
50-50.
50-50 Democrats, Republicans. It's becoming more of a wine community because there's a lot of vineyards around here. It's lovely. It's where Amy is.
Beautiful.
It's where Amy is. It's where Amanda is, and Stephanie, who's also on here. So one of the things that happened in our dialogue in our Facebook messaging group was that I really part of what makes me nervous about this dialogue and this conversation that's happening in the town. And I would say it's a debate/dialogue. I'm not really sure how else I don't know that there's another word in the English language to discuss what's happening. But one of the things that I'm really deeply concerned about is that the parents who are speaking out against comprehensive sex education, the way it's written as a curriculum, are not affirming LGBT youth as they're being, hey, Gretchen, whoa, it's nice to see you, my friend.
Oh, Liz.
Liz didn't know about this.
Liz, get ready.
Oh, but the biggest argument is that we shouldn't be talking about LGBT youth.
Okay, I don't know if that's true.
Okay, that's fine.
So let's flesh this out. Let's get really, really practical.
Yeah, okay.
In the curriculum that we read that's causing the most controversy, where there's two sides pitted against each other in our community, there's a part of the curriculum that talks about language, queer, bisexual, what else? Pansexual, terminology.
Yeah. So they define all of the different
like this is,
identities.
Yeah. And so I read that, and I think my community, I'm not going to speak for everyone. I read that, and I have no problem with us honoring each other with the way that we talk about each other and saying, these are the people around us. They are not going to be hidden.
Right.
We're going to use pronouns to honor them. All the things. I read that and I'm so glad that my child is going to understand what these mean. So that if a friend on the playground says something that they identify a thing, my child knows what that is. I want them to be informed. Common language is so important. I'm all for it.
Okay.
So it's not, so I don't remember exactly your words, but I'm like, okay, it's not that it's in there. It's not that the language is there. It's not that the definitions aren't there. I am for those things.
Right. But there's
one part
that are not.
There's one part that I can't.
And one of the things that our friend Amanda, who is on
Yes.
here somewhere, one of her biggest concerns is that one of the arguments that came up in the school board meetings was that it is unacceptable to talk about those things. In the meetings, not among us, but in the meetings.
Yeah.
That there was a lot of uproar about talking about
like
LGBT
we can't
people.
even talk about the different
Yes.
sexual.
Amanda's like, yes, that's exactly correct. We should not be talking about LGBT youth.
I don't think that's everyone that I've heard that disagrees with the curriculum. Not everyone who disagrees with the curriculum would also agree with that.
So
Not
let's
everyone.
talk about the part that everybody's losing their mind about.
Well, I don't know.
From your perspective.
For me, I've tried to stick my head in the sand a little bit on this issue. I was down with the curriculum until there's a part, and this is all based on grade level, but the curriculum I saw based on this grade level, is there a part that says, great, let's play myth or truth? And this is really awkward. Myth and truth. What's an example? Someone might be shamed from their church about their sexuality, but this might be a bad example. But they're born this way, and it's totally acceptable. Truth. Now, some Christians believe, not me, some Christians believe that that is false.
Right. So this is where it gets super sticky.
So
Amanda says we're right.
So here's where a curriculum can say, this is how people identify, this is what they feel, this is what they think. No, I almost said something that wouldn't be appropriate in curriculum. But to say truth or myth and start to teach that way, okay, you're going to get some problems.
And so this is where we diverged, because I kept saying, but we are born this way.
And I kept saying, I actually agree.
Right.
What you do with those inclinations.
Right. So if you decide to remain
disagree.
sexless and like not have a partner or any of those other magical things, then yeah.
That could. Oh, I feel like that'd be such a good conversation. Can we pause? I do think. When we had this private message about this issue with our friend Amanda, who invited us into this debate, just the three of us to understand what it could look like from two sides coming together on this, it got hard.
Yeah, it did. It got super hard.
Yeah. I started to feel uncomfortable speaking what I thought. And it was really painful.
Mm-hmm.
And there's another example of like, even when you love each other and you believe you really know it, and you still come at an impasse.
Yeah, I think that the thing that is happening that so one of the things that I really hope is that through this conversation here in Newburgh, that more parents of LGBT youth will come out and talk about their kids being LGBT. Because I think we need to have this conversation mom to mom and dad to dad and parent to parent, and not have it be so much about the curriculum and more about the conversation about how we love our children and how we accept our children for who they are, and how we hope that Christian people can start to accept their children for who they are. Because to Amanda's point that she's just making, when people are told that they are a myth, it makes them suicidal and depressed. Yeah,
I would never tell someone they're a myth, ever.
And that's the problem, though, is a lot of parents, the arguments that were coming up in the school board meetings were that they are a myth. Okay.
So this is where language. Language is really important.
Language is important.
They didn't say they were a myth. They didn't say that. There's no way that the people I know that have those opinions that showed up did not say those kids are a myth.
I'll let you have that, but I also think it's really critically important for everybody to understand that the constant and consistent othering of LGBT people has to stop somewhere at some point. And being identifying as a bisexual woman is not just about sexual intercourse. It is about who I am as a human, just as it is who you are, a heterosexual woman. I am a bisexual woman. You did not choose to be heterosexual, and I did not choose to be bisexual.
Yeah, that's where I would agree with you.
Simple.
But a lot of people
don't. A lot of parents can't do that. And so I think that And this is the danger. And Leanne is saying it's the danger. Stephanie's saying this community is not safe for LGBT youth and parents to have to protect their children. Like, I think what is rumbling up is a larger picture here about safety and about how we are choosing to raise our kids on both sides of this issue, to be accepting and loving and affirming of everybody, no matter who they are, Christian or not. And I think that I think what is happening here in Newburgh with this issue in particular is that I think that what it's raising is the larger picture of acceptance and othering, and how we look at people who are different from us. And you and I were just having this conversation before we came on the camera about how you're going to be doing a talk, and you're going to be talking about being with other people that may make us feel afraid.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I mean, I remember when we first started this, how you and I were afraid about what would happen if we got into the meat and bones of this really complicated stuff. Mm-hmm. My hope is that, and Stephanie's making a really valid point, the parents allowing adults in this community to continue to say that LGBTQ people are not acceptable is the core of the problem.
Is why what?
Well, it's why the rift is happening.
Okay, so can I have a second?
Yeah.
I'm starting to feel emotional, which we never normally do.
Yes, we do. I make you cry all the time.
Do I cry on here a lot?
Yeah, every time.
No!
Yeah.
Not every time.
Almost.
There is a lot of room here to see things black and white.
Yeah.
In the people on the other side. And I feel like it's unfair that there are some parents that are called unloving. And the reason why LGBTQ are committing self-harm is because parents like you who don't want this curriculum in our schools, curriculum that makes them feel validated and seen for the first time. And the fact that you don't want that makes you terrible. Terrible. Why wouldn't you want curriculum that makes them feel loved and normal, finally? And that's not totally fair. And I don't know if I can articulate that well or not here now, feeling what I'm feeling and knowing that you're here.
But what I think, and I can say this as someone who grew up as a bisexual person, mm-hmm. and who has been in this community for a really, really, really long time, mm-hmm. what we need you to hear is that when we are battling with depression and suicide and self-hatred, it is because our parents say that they don't love us because of who we are. And that is not okay.
No, it's so sad.
But what you have to understand, and what all of the parents out there who are going to watch this eventually have to understand, is that you made this kiddo. There's nothing wrong with this kiddo. And it's dangerous. It's why people in the LGBT community say that they have attempted suicide, because their parents do not love them. Mm-hmm. And this is why our state has decided to affirm them, to reduce the rates of suicide and mental health issues.
And I think it's really hard to say I don't agree with this curriculum in certain places because of how it's worded, that doesn't honor other people in the community and what they think. I think it's okay to disagree, and it doesn't mean I don't love those kids.
Right.
And
but the Christians are asking everyone else to accept their right to be unaccepting instead of opting their kids out.
Can you say that again?
So what's happening is that, and Amanda actually said it, so there's a group of Christians. I'm not saying all Christians, by the way, to be super clear. There is a group of Christians in this community who are asking all of the entire school district to accept their right to be unaccepting.
Okay, so here's where I love you both. but it isn't their right to be unaccepting. It's their right to try to influence curriculum that teaches things that are against what they believe to be true, not the dignity of humanity, like humans, like of people in this community. Is to say that it is, I wish I had the example of the one myth and truth where I'm like, my daughter, I would have to have a conversation with her when she came home and said, what you learned in school from your authorities was wrong.
Right.
So I wish I knew what that one was. That would have been really helpful in this conversation.
But we can type it in here eventually.
But to say, oh, this is so hard in Christianity, to say that we're unaccepting is wrong. Do you feel like I don't accept you?
It's not you, Amy.
But Amanda, I know the people you're talking about.
I understand that it's not you.
But the people that she's referencing, at least I think, that have been verbal in this debate are not so different from me.
I understand that they're not so different from you, but they're drawing the line, and I think that's the problem. And I mean, Jillian saying, what makes me sad when reading through the comments on Facebook, conserving this is a strong division because of religious belief. And as a Christian, that makes me sad. We teach our kids to love everyone no matter what, except for, right? So there are chunks of parents that are like, except for in these circumstances. And I can say this having grown up in Utah, like this was a constant conversation.
Yeah.
I think that it's not that I don't think you don't accept me and don't love me and all of those things.
I'm so glad.
I think that this gets down to are we going to continue to allow young people to think that they are unworthy because of how they were born?
No.
If the conservative people in this community continue to have people from extreme right-wing organizations come in here to influence this policy, that is exactly what they are saying.
No. I don't, I mean, that's where I'm having a really hard time with how people are making
You
this
might
really
not,
black and white.
But you're not 14. And you're not sitting in a classroom being bullied for who you are. At the core
well,
of your
I was,
soul.
just not because I was gay.
Right.
Because I was Christian, I was bullied. Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And we have to stop that. And this curriculum has been proven to stop that scientifically. But I think that that is the core of the problem.
I'm sorry, we can't keep up with all the comments.
They want information excluding that mentions LGBT people. Their request.
They're just wrong. They're just wrong. It's unacceptable.
Yeah. I mean, I think that they are explicitly asking that this be left out of the curriculum, Amy. And it can't be.
I'm not, I guess it's really hard for me to speak. I don't think it should be left out.
I know you don't.
Yeah.
And that's the thing.
But there are a lot of people like me that think that too. And that's where.
Then those people have got to get louder than the people. I mean, I'm serious. Those are the people that have to get louder. People like Leanne and Jillian and other Christian parents.
But those are people who sided with you.
I know, but.
So of course they have to get louder.
But Jillian's a Christian. Yes,
and it's not in disagreement of the curriculum. What do you do with parents who are in disagreement of the curriculum?
They can opt out.
Okay. I'm so glad we brought this up.
They can opt out.
So many times I've heard in this debate, they can opt out.
Okay, I come from a state where you have to opt into sex ed.
Oh,
so I come from a state where sex ed is not mandated.
No, that's
that if you want your kid to learn sex ed, you have to opt into sex ed, and there is no mention of LGBT people.
Mm.
And it's abstinence only with a little bit of other stuff mixed in.
Mm.
And I come from a state where there is more unintended pregnancy, sexually transmitted diseases, HIV, syphilis, gonorrhea, chlamydia, teenage moms than Oregon, because it's the exact opposite process.
Mm-hmm.
So if my mom wanted me to learn sex ed in school, she had to sign a note that said it was okay for me to be in there. That's how around the country, let's see, Amanda, intent doesn't matter. The impact is what matters. Good intentions aren't enough. We have to help them understand. I think that I think that this is a kitchen table conversation. I don't think that this is a conversation that should be happening. Bringing outside groups into this community is not going to be helpful.
You've referenced that a few times. I don't know anything about that.
They are literally the people who are opposing this are bringing outside right-wing groups into Newburgh to have this conversation. And I don't think that's okay.
Well, this is also a left-wing group who created the curriculum.
Well, the legislature created the curriculum.
The people who created the media for the curriculum. Are you sure about that?
Yeah, the legislature approved the curriculum.
Oh, approved. Yes, didn't create. Yeah, a left-wing group created the curriculum. So this is messy. It's not so black and white. Yes, maybe they shouldn't bring in this right wing. Okay, but it was also, what are you going to do with the people who recognize very left wing that made the media, the curriculum? The opt out issue, real quick, before we try to catch up, is when you say just opt out, you're saying, please remove your voice from this table. Just do your own thing. You being representative at this table as our community of diverse people, we actually don't want your diverse thought. Just opt out. You don't have a seat at the table.
Oh, see, and I was saying it is totally a parental control issue.
It's
like an individual. I was seeing that as, so this is where you are seeing it one way and I'm seeing it. This is like the perfect place for that. I wasn't seeing it that way. I was seeing it as local parental control.
Yeah. And instead, I see if there is a table of our community and we are diverse and we are going to contribute thought and influence into the decisions of our school district, you're saying to this voice, be gone, opt out. You're not welcome at this table. Just opt out your kids.
Oh, that's really interesting.
And there's a lot of pandering. There's a lot of, there's a lot of,
I don't think I thought about it.
Let's talk about it. That's happening in Newburgh. Like, let's have these meetings so you feel heard, but they don't.
But so, and AJ says the curriculum calls for parents talking every night to go over the material.
That's great.
Yeah, so that the parents are supposed to go over the material with their kids, which I've done numerous times with my children when it comes to sex ed. Leanne can see that point of view. It's interesting though, because my point of view is I'm so used to having to opt in. Like, I'm so used to having this conversation with parents about opting in that there's total exclusion of parent, like no one can get sex ed in Utah without opting in, so everybody's excluded.
That's bizarre.
Do you see the difference?
Oh, totally.
Yeah. So I don't think I was not seeing it from that perspective.
Yeah. Can I say?
I'm just going to struggle with it though, because I don't think that, I don't see it that way. I mean, I think, and Stephanie says opting out allows you to control the information your kid gets. Having people opt in allows you to control other kids' information. Yeah.
So it's 43 minutes. I know you're always so careful about this. I have one of my biggest fears. Gosh, what is going on?
I make you do this all the time.
One of my biggest fears is being misunderstood.
I know.
It's the most painful thing.
I understand everything you're saying.
Oh, I know.
I don't know if other people do, but I understand what you're saying. I think that
can I just have a second?
Yeah.
I can believe that God didn't intend relationship to be a man and to be only a man and a woman. I can believe that. And I can still act and speak in kindness to people who are in gay relationships or identify in a different sexuality. And I can honor them and I can love them and I cannot judge them because I'm not judged. I am going to live in a way that I feel like honors God, and I will talk about what I think that is. But as far as me trying to shove that on someone, it doesn't work. It's heartless. It doesn't matter anyway. It's focusing on behavior and not heart. But so it's really difficult in issues like this when I say my voice matters and I want a seat at the table. And I'm not okay when you're telling my child that this is a myth and this is a truth, when at home, a different authority is telling them otherwise. Will my children hear this language is important? We honor everyone. Some people believe this, some people believe that. Yes, I will do that without even hesitating. That's so important. I build children to be accepting and loving. Yeah. But don't say I don't have a seat at the table. And don't say I'm unloving or don't care about these kids committing self-harm. because I believe that's not how it's intended, but I am not going to impose that on you. So you're saying, Amy, you can't be both and can't think both? And I just want to say it's not fair. And it's not me having a right to be unaccepting. That's not what this is. I have a really hard time with that.
Oh.
Christians aren't asking for the right to be unaccepting.
Some Christians aren't.
Most. And maybe it's just the loud ones that you're hearing. I don't know, but
I don't agree with that, Aim.
Okay.
I don't think watching what is happening across this country with Christians, if that is true, if it is most Christians, then they need to come out of the closet in a big way.
Well, let me tell you how hard sometimes this is.
I know how hard this is, but if we are going to take the risk to live and express as we are, as LGBT people, and risk being killed, literally being killed, then we need the people who are allied with us, who are Christian, to come out too.
And there are many.
Because then we need their voice.
Yeah, I think they're speaking.
I don't think they're speaking. Though,
people like Jen Hatmaker, who are
right, but we still have policies being placed that put our lives in jeopardy, and that tell us we are nothing. All over the country, it's happening everywhere. It's the root of my anger. Being told consistently and constantly that there is something wrong for me, not just from heterosexual people, but from homosexual people too. That's problematic. Mm-hmm. And it's hurtful. And it's because of what we are learning and what we are teaching. Mm-hmm. And I want you to know that I hear you loud and clear, but I think, and I will say this to all of you, if you are Christian and you are affirming of LGBT people, then you need to come out of the closet, because we need you as much as the Christian community needs you. And until that happens, we are going to continue to die at rates that I believe are untenable, by our own hand or somebody else's. And it starts with our kids. And you are correct, Amy. You're teaching your kiddos to love and affirm and accept. And I'm teaching my kiddos to love and affirm and accept. But not everybody's doing that. And not everybody is like that. Mm-hmm. And that is the problem. I don't think a sex ed curriculum is going to fix that. I think it's way deeper and way more complicated than whether or not we're teaching kids how to be safe if they decide to have sex.
I just think everyone wants that sex ed conversation to be black and white, and it's not.
No.
I think both sides want it to be black and white, and it's not. And Amanda, we can continue talking because I know that we have a relationship. I think you said something about you get to opt out. I think that maybe there's a little miscommunication or misunderstanding. What I mean by it's not fair just to ask them to opt out, so we can continue that conversation.
Yeah, and I think we should. I think it's really important.
Nope, you're not a touch screen.
No,
I tried to flick through the comments.
Leanne says, being from Newburgh, I feel like Amy is right about most Christians. The ones I know believe like Amy, but you're right. They're not the loud ones. They're not advocating for the LGBT community as loud as people are advocating against it. And that's it.
Mm-hmm. So how is 50 minutes? How do we end this conversation?
I think we agree that there's going to be a lot of pissed off people.
Oh.
And I think we agree that we have to have more conversation about it. Mm-hmm. And it's not just you having conversations with your Christian friends who are opposed to this and trying to figure out what it is at the core that is the problem. Mm-hmm. because we haven't even scratched the surface of why the people who are opposed to this at the core, why it is a problem for them.
Oh, like the theology?
Not just the theology, but their reasoning behind it. Not just the theology, but the core, at their core. And I think this comes back to the opposition being willing to sit down at the same table as the people who are supportive of the LGBT community and having this included in the curriculum. Not bringing in a bunch of right-wing groups to fight and argue and have a pissing match about it, but really truly sitting down in people's living rooms, which I have done in Utah with people who are absolutely opposed to me as a human, and sitting down how to figure out how to have that conversation. Because I think the anger and the vitriol and the allyship that you are talking about is critical to the people who are allies have got to take action, and the people who are at odds with each other have got to come down. I would facilitate that conversation in a heartbeat. Have got to come together with the people who are the opposition. The people on both sides have got to sit in a living room, as parents, and have a real conversation as parents.
I don't think it's going to happen. I'm really hopeful, and we facilitate a lot of this experience and be like, I'm all in. But to be honest, I'm going to get off here and need a minute. This is hard.
Yeah, it's hard work.
How many people?
I used to do this in my house. I used to bring in conservative Christians and the LGBT community in my home. Yeah. In my living room. 20 of us in a room every week for 6 months. Yeah. That was fun. It was hard. But we ended up becoming really good friends, and people shifted on both sides.
It's beautiful.
It was lovely.
You've been doing this good work for a long time.
Well, I've been trying.
Thank you.
I
love you very much.
You too.
Sometimes you just cry and hug it out, I guess.
Yep.
I will commit to these conversations even when they're hard, but
we'll breathe through it. It's okay.
Okay.
Love you all. Have a good weekend.